What's up, Periscope? Ty Crandall here with Credit Suite. Today we're talking about DBAs, doing business as, what DBAs are, and a bunch of use. What you need to know about DBAs. So this comes up a lot. I don't know why I've not done a stream on this before or a video or anything on DBAs, but I should have, because a lot of people ask about DBAs, a lot of people use DBAs, and a lot of other people don't even know what DBAs are or why you'd use a DBA. So today that's exactly what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about DBAs, otherwise known as doing business as. Why you may want a DBA, what a DBA is, how a DBA works, the ins and outs of what you need to know about a DBA, and how DBAs can help you kind of acquire customers and also help you get money, be credible, and also even take your sole proprietorship and work better for you without putting your name out there. So all about DBAs today. So we are going to head to the chalkboard here. I'm going to step back and grab me a Sharpie. I'm going to get orange, the Gators orange here, Sharpie. Okay, so DBAs. Okay, what you need to know. So what is a DBA? Well, DBAs have a lot of different reasons, and ultimately a DBA is a doing business as. It's a name that you can use to do business as. Jerome, welcome, man. Thanks for coming in. So it's a name you can attach to basically do business in that name other than your main business name or other than your individual business name. So this is really good for sole proprietorships, because if you're a sole proprietorship, you are the business and your name is the sole proprietorship. But with a DBA, you can separate this. It's also called a fictitious name filing. So this allows you to do business as another business name other than your individual name. So some obvious benefits right away, right? It keeps the company's name from being the same as your own personal name. Mr. Steve Pops, welcome. First Down Periscope. Thanks for coming in. So some obvious benefits of a DBA is if you're a sole proprietorship, then what happens is it keeps your company name from being the same as your name. Because a sole proprietorship, you are the business. Your name is the business. But a DBA lets you then give the business another name other than your name, so your name isn't out there as the business name. Okay, so huge benefits there. And Jerome, welcome. Thanks for, it looks like you came out and came back in. So the credit reporting agencies, the IRA's creditors know you and the business are separate this way. It helps them recognize your business as being separate, even if you are a sole proprietorship and theoretically you and the business are the same. Okay, so another bit, there's a lot of reasons you'd want to do this. Okay, the public has an interest in knowing who you are, who the owner is, and that's why they like sole proprietorships. But again, as a DBA, you're separating this and you're telling you're basically assigning a name for the public to actually know. It's also better for taxes. It's also better for building business credit than using your individual name as well. Another reason for DBA, want to have multiple names that you do business under. Hey, thanks, Janice. Thanks for coming in. So, for example, you may want to use an entity or a name for one reason that you don't want your business name to be involved in. So, for example, our name is Credit Suite. Maybe we want to apply for something or get something or put a name out in the space that we don't want credit to be in the name of. So maybe we want to use another DBA. So we have another entity name called Wentworth Price, for example, that we use. That's a DBA. So we don't actually use that. We just have it reserved in case we ever need it for anything. But maybe we want to use a name that doesn't have the word credit in it. Well, then we can choose a DBA and use that DBA to get the things that we need versus actually coming in and using our. These are a couple of main reasons why you use a DBA. One is a sole proprietorship. So big LLC, welcome, man. Thanks for coming in. I'm excited you're here every week. So a couple main reasons in my mind you want a DBA. One is if you're a sole proprietor, you separate it and put another name out in the space, a legitimate business name other than your own personal name. Biggest reason. Second, you may want to have multiple brands out in the space under one entity, right? You maybe want to sell hats and you also want to sell websites, and the name for a hat company is going to be different than a website company, but you don't want to file taxes twice. You don't want to file taxes for a hat company and for a website company. So you could have your name be, all around hats, And then you get a DBA of all-around websites, and all-around websites is what you sell websites under, but both of these under the same entity, so taxes don't have to be filed separately. So two good reasons why you may want to use a DBA. So your name you can't use the name incorporated or corporate or corporation or anything like that unless you're an actual corporation. So you can't put that into a DBA. You can't have it be Hats Incorporated as your DBA if you're not really incorporated. Okay, some states you may find want DBAs for consumer protection. So they want you to actually have a DBA. Sometimes it's required if you are a sole proprietorship in some states to have a DBA. Okay, in California, for example, a lot of people work as sole proprietorships and they use DBAs because corporations are so expensive. It's like $600-700 to set up a corporation in California. So we see people do this a lot. There's sole proprietorships, or they're something like a sole proprietor where they don't have to pay the money for a corporation and they use a DBA under. So again, a lot of states, maybe you do it for money, or some states even want you to actually do that as well, okay? The bank may want you to open a DBA. They might not want to open an account, a business account in your name as an individual, but a DBA may will allow you to open a business bank account. Okay, and some clients may want a DBA as well. If you're a sole proprietorship, there's a lot of problems here. You don't want to put your name out there everywhere as the business name. So DBAs are oftentimes used for that purposes, to open bank accounts, to use for contracts, etc. A lot of benefits here. It's also a simple, cheap way to use a business name, really. So it's a simple, cheap way to use a business name without filing for an actual business like a corporation. And again, in Florida and Texas and in states that really welcome businesses, it's cheap anyways to set up an entity. It's $70 in Florida to set up an entity. But in California, it's $600-700. So why pay $700 for a business to test it out when you can come in as a sole proprietor much cheaper, use a DBA, and still be in business? Again, so a ton of extra benefits here. Now, sole proprietorship, more about this. Business is the owner. You and the business are one and the same, okay? So all the profits, the debts, the losses all come to you as the owner. Well, a DBA kind of helps separate some of these assets because, again, you don't really limit your liability because the sole proprietorship, you are the business gets sued, you get sued. But if you're filing as a DBA, then most people aren't going to know your personal name. You're at least not putting your personal name as a sole proprietorship out in the space. You're putting the DBA out there instead. So it helps create some layer of protection with your personal assets. Now, as the IRS recognizes the DBA as an extension of the sole proprietor. If you are a sole proprietor, it recognizes this as an actual extension. Now, with the sole proprietorship, you don't need an EIN, okay? But you're going to have an EIN when it comes to building business credit, which is the topic we oftentimes talk about. But again, if you want a cheaper way and you're in a state like California where it's expensive to be a corporation, well, then you get a sole proprietor, you choose a DBA as your business name, and this gives you the ability to come in and actually use it to do business. But again, you have to be careful because you can't build business credit under a DBA. You have to have an EIN to actually build business credit. So to build business credit, you've got to have a corporation. You've got to have an LLC. Hey, I made it. Sam Goody, thanks for coming in. So again, you want to separate this if you're going to build business credit, but it's a cheap, easy way if you're a sole proprietorship to get into business. Okay, so you also want to separate of your consumer and business credit, and that's why you build business credit. So again, even if you're not doing this because you don't have an EIN, it still adds some level of legitimacy when you're out in the space not using your personal name as a sole proprietor, but instead you're using a DBA. You at least have a business name. So, ton of things you should know about DBAs. First, it's really easy way to register your business. So even if you're not coming in and you're not setting up a corporation and going through those steps, it's a simple way to register your business even if you are a sole proprietorship. Okay, plus it helps you get business accounts and business or bank accounts, things that you need in the company name to start actually making money. Okay, again, a lot of people operate many businesses at once, and that's another huge reason, the most common reason I see people use DBAs. Because guys, look, if you're going to come to sell multiple products opening multiple entities really creates an issue. So for example, I used to do consumer credit and business credit. I sold my consumer credit business a long time ago. But when I did that, I didn't want to file taxes for two separate businesses, two sets of taxes, two separate books, two sets of books, two annual report fees I have to file, et cetera, et cetera. So it made sense for us to take our business credit and financing arm and put that out into the world under a name that was really a DBA of the main business name. A lot of people do this, and we gave the example of maybe you're selling hats and maybe you're selling websites. Well, you're never going to find a name that works good for you to sell websites and hats. But maybe your name is Awesome Hats, and then you do a DBA of Awesome Websites, and now you can still file taxes under one entity, but you still have multiple business names. A lot of people are like this. They sell a lot of product or services. They want to put them under different names, but one corporate umbrella. That's the biggest reason people use DBAs, because a DBA lets you go out there and use other business names, but still keep it under one actual entity for tax reasons and other. A lot of benefits here, but it's an easy way to register your business. So again, you can operate many businesses at once, which is a big reason, because you can create a corporation, an entity, then use these DBA for all these different business names that you have, okay? So you can operate different kinds of businesses all under one entity using DBAs. It's one of the biggest, most popular reasons that people are using it. And again, it's also good for contracts, for leases, for bank accounts, for all these type of things if you are a sole proprietorship. So a ton of details, a ton of benefits about DBAs, but let's kind of sum this up. So first of all, a DBA is a doing business as, and I have that listed somewhere here, but I'm not exactly sure where it is. So what we're talking about here is doing business as. It's called a fictitious name filing, or fictitious name affidavit is what you're going to file to set these up. Okay, there's a couple main reasons you're going to do it. One, you're going to do it because you're a sole proprietor. And a sole proprietor means you are the business and your name is the business name. You may not want your name to be out in the world as the business name. So a DBA gives you the ability to be a sole proprietor, okay, and then still have a business name. And again, why is this a big deal? In states like California, where it's $600-700 to set up a corporation, a lot of people go this route. Maybe you have an idea you want to just test without dumping a bunch of money into. Well, then you come out as a sole proprietor, you put your business name as a DBA. As the business takes off, you get an actual entity, and then you actually don't need the DBA because you get a corporation, or you change your sole proprietorship to corporation. So big reason for sole proprietors, the biggest reason is because it gives you a legitimate business name without paying the cost of a real entity, like actually setting up a corporation. Then as the business grows, you simply change the sole proprietorship to a corporation, make the corporation name the name of the DBA you have, and you don't need the DBA anymore. Okay, another reason, and a great reason that most commonly you will use a DBA, is because you can operate many businesses at once under one umbrella. So you set up an actual entity like a corporation, and then you have multiple DBAs, a bunch of them, for different products and services you may sell. So if you sell hats and websites and shoes and chairs, then you don't have to have one name that describes the selling of hats, websites, and chairs. You can choose. You can come in and choose website name and then have DBAs representing the hats and the shoes and the chairs that you actually sell. So that's another huge reason that you may do it. So remember, a lot of things about DBA. This. First of all, DBAs have a couple main purposes. One, you're going to choose, in Ty example, LCD, AZ, DBA, lady cab driver, AZ. Yes, that's me, exactly. So, that's a perfect example. And Janice just gave a perfect example. You're probably a sole proprietor. Maybe you're not, maybe you are. But if you're a sole proprietor, you don't want to put your name out in the public space. You get a DBA representing the business name you want without having to actually get an entity like a corporation. Maybe you want the taxes for the business to carry over to your personal taxes. Maybe you don't want to set up an entity like a corporation. Well, DBA still lets you have the professionalism of a business name to sign contracts, to sign leases, to get bank bank accounts, to get customers, all the things that a legitimate business name will have without paying to actually set up an entity, without having to file taxes for the entity, without having to file and pay annual reports, which in Florida are $400 a year for you to actually have that entity, etc. You get all the benefits of a business, but with the name that a name for a business provides you without the cost and the expenditure of running a business like a corporation, for example. Okay. The other huge benefit is to have multiple names. And again, a lot of people say, how can I own a lot of businesses under one umbrella? Well, you probably don't want to set up 3, 4, 5 corporations, because then you have to pay taxes on 3, 4, 5 corporations. You have to pay your accountant to file those taxes, which is $1,000 a year. You have to file annual reports for those every year, which in Florida is $400 per annual report. So you have 5 different businesses. That's a lot of money, right? It's thousands of dollars. So another big reason that you want to do it. So a lot of reasons you may use DBAs. Most importantly, if you're a sole proprietorship, go with the DBA. It's a fantastic way in the public persona to put a business name out there without you going through the cost, time, and effort to set up an actual entity. But another reason is if you want to have multiple names under one umbrella, a DBA makes a lot of sense as well. And you're asking, how big a deal is it if your business address changes in terms of getting business credit? You need to make sure your business name is continuous online everywhere. I just took down that board. I was going to go show you, but it's not there. So congruency is one of the most important pieces of getting loans and credit. Meaning, if you change your business address, that's no big deal. But Yelp, Google, Bing, Yahoo, your bank statements, your licenses, your Secretary of State records, your DUNS number, your business credit reports, all better reflect that correct address. And here's why. The reporting agencies create credit profiles linked to your name and address. So if you change your address, it can throw up a bunch of problems and create multiple credit profiles and separate your credit in a way that you don't want to. How much do you charge for one-to-one Skype monitoring? We don't deal with Skype monitoring or mentoring, a one-on-one Skype mentoring. I understand what you're asking now. You can go to creditsuite.com and give us a call, 877-600-2487. Coaching is part of our program. It's what we do. So if you're enrolling with us, we actually coach you through the process of even getting business credit or offering it as a service. Address change, make sure it's changed everywhere. Yes, it has to be changed everywhere. We use a service called Yext. Y-E-X-T. Yext changes all of our information online whenever something changes. It's easier than going to every place online to do it. Remember, guys, the reporting agencies use the yellow pages, Yelp, Google, Bing. Yes. They use all those places to put information on your credit report, so it's all got to be congruent. So I'm going to wrap this up. I don't want to drag this out. There's not a lot of stuff to be said about DBAs. Most importantly, remember, you get a DBA when you're a sole proprietor and you need a legitimate business name for bank accounts, contracts, leases, etc. 2, you get a DBA when you want to run multiple businesses under one umbrella without paying all the taxes and all that's involved by creating multiple different entities. So those are the main 2 reasons that you're going up a DBA, is to make sure that if you're doing business as another name as a sole proprietor, or you're doing business as another name because, again, you want to set up multiple companies under one umbrella. It's just a simple, easy, and cheap way to use multiple names, whether you want to create multiple businesses under one umbrella or whether or not you want to create a business name just because you're a sole proprietor. Have questions? Want to talk more? Want the fastest way to build business credit? Then give us a ring. 877-600-2487. That's 877-600-2487. And don't forget to grab your free guide at creditsuite.com/Periscope that maps out the exact steps to build business credit. So make sure you check out your free guide and give us a call. We will be back here next Wednesday at 4 o'clock. We'll be covering in the weeks to come other ways to finance your business other than bootstrapping your business. Okay, how to get online small business loans. It's all one whiteboard. There's so much. We're going to decode every one of these lenders. Balboa, Bluevine, Foundation, all these guys you see out there where when you go to their website, they won't even tell you what they do. We're going to decode them all. Then we're going to go to the main board. We haven't been here in a long time. And we're going to be decoding business credit again. A lot of you asked questions. We're going to talk about what's changed into 2018, the steps, what you need to know, new vendors, etc. for building business credit. So we're going to be diving into these topics here over the next few weeks, and I look forward to seeing you then. Every Wednesday at 4 o'clock Eastern, we're live on Periscope. If you want the fastest way to build business credit or get money, give us a ring, 877-600-2487. And then also grab our free guide at creditsuite.com/Periscope. For now, everybody, I'll see you next Wednesday at 4 o'clock Eastern here on Periscope. I look forward to seeing you then. Let us know if you have any questions. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.